Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian here at the Paris Air Show at the historic airfield Le Bourget outside the French capital. Our coverage here is sponsored by Bell and Leonardo DRS, and we're over here at the United Kingdom Pavilion to talk to retired British Army Brigadier Mark Goldsack, who's the director, the head of the Defense and Security Organization. Mark, congratulations on the new job, and thanks very much for the time.
Well, Vago, thank you, and thank you very much for your congratulations. Much appreciated. Thank you as well for all of the coverage you've given us over the years.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Certainly a lot of big news stories that are going on here. Obviously, one of the big ones is France, Germany, and Spain are going to sign an agreement about their new combat aircraft program, the SCAF. It looks like DSO is also going to unveil a pretty sophisticated model of what's going to be Europe's, or at least those nations hope to be Europe's next sixth-generation airplane. Britain, many years ago, quietly started the Tempest program. It was unveiled at the Farnborough Air Show last year. There's going to be a £2 billion investment that's going into that program. Talk to us about the kind of conversations you're having on that. That program is seen as key in the air sector where Britain has been a leading exporter, and that's your purview. What are some of the conversations you're having with some of your international counterparts and industry counterparts about Tempest?
Well, I think the key thing to note is just how exciting that whole opportunity is. It's really important as we look out across the global market to maintain some really vibrant, competitive technology edges as we go forward. As you referred to, our success in the last 20, 30 years as the leading aerospace exporter has allowed us to develop some seriously competitive offers into the market. And as we go forward, it's important that we maintain that edge. To do that, the Tempest program exists. It acts as our forward-looking tunnel, if you like, as we take things forward, and it allows us to position effectively against the sort of technological partnerships we're seeing coming up across both Europe and across the United States. And for us, that's important, because you're only going to get the best offering onto the market if it's competitive. So we relish the competition, but we're confident that what we're offering, what our companies are gathering up together, the requirements that our Air Force have marshalled behind it, combine together to make a very attractive offer for a number of our international partners. And where I think we're really competitive is in our ability to genuinely share intellectual product. IP is at the center of this whole discussion, and for us, partnering is what we're good at. We've always been good at it. We've been a good partner to the United States, we've been a great partner to a lot of our European allies, and we've been a global partner to a lot of our foreign and friendly countries. So we're having really interesting conversations now with a dozen plus countries across the world, all of whom can see the value in that IP share and see the really cutting edge nature of our offering onto the market.
Is it safe to say that Tempest is a competing program? Is it a technology development program? Or is it a way for the UK to get a good seat at the SCAF table? What's the right way to think about the Tempest program?
I enjoyed your last comment there. I'll take the first two on the chin. As far as the first two are concerned, of course, it's both. What we're saying, these are all exploratory programs. Nobody these days is in the business of putting a platform up first and saying this is the answer. We have to get there through combined R&D, combined learning, and a shared development of the requirement and the sort of solutions that will deliver that. So absolutely it's part of that discussion. And I'm certain as we go forward, there'll be more and more discussions with the other partner nations, simply because we all operate together in so many other areas. It's hard to see how a lot of that cooperation isn't going to drift into the same space. So whilst it suits for a good story to paint it up as a much more perhaps combative thing than it is, for us it's just a natural step down the competitive pathway, and we're looking forward to those conversations and trying to find those sweet spots where we can all work together for the greater good.
Type 26 was a very, very big win. Here was a British program that puts Britain back in the global naval warship market. Canada, Australia, highly competitive contests, and you guys prevailed in both of those. Talk to us about what's next for that program. I mean, this is starting to shape up like the modern Leander class that was the global frigate standard if you go back to the 60s and the 70s. What are some of the other guys who are going to be interested? What are some of the other nations that are going to be buying this ship?
Well, as you've correctly pointed out, it really was a big step forward, that program, and we're very excited about what it's got to offer. It won't surprise you at all that globally we've been approached by a large number of countries who are interested in what's going on there, and the key attraction in the middle of it is this really sharp, technologically focused offering that comes through in terms of pure pure maritime capability. Now that's what makes that project exciting. Because of those conversations, this project could really run the pace globally. Now we need to be careful as we go forward. We've got a lot of stuff to deliver that we've already signed up to, but those other conversations will start to now form part of that forward order book. And whether you're continuing to look within NATO, whether you start to look broader than NATO into our friendly foreign country groups, into our other allies across a number of our global relationships. As you referred to, the Leander class transcended all boundaries at the end. This is one of those programs where as you look forward, you can see it doing the same thing. So for us, this is a question of how do we pace out now a really substantive, robust capability offering over decades? Because that's what we're talking about, a really robust re-entry into the maritime capability game.
Let me ask you two questions. One, what were some of the key lessons that were learned in Type 26? The UK did fight hard in a lot of global competitions, but sometimes didn't come in first. How did you assess the lessons of Type 26 that you think are going to yield much more competitive British bids in the future?
Well, I think the key thing lies on the quality of the technology offering, and what we've understood from the Type 26 piece is to absolutely share as much of that as we can as we go through the competition, because we're very confident that we are the global leaders in that space, and that competition brought that out in aces and spades. So front and centre of any of our other offerings and discussions is that technology offer, but also surrounding it is a very competitive view about the way the world works. We are one of the great freebooting nations when it comes to trade, looking out overseas, heading out there, looking for partners who we can work with. And because of the way our trade and defence export system is structured, we are able to share this technology in a way that's probably unique amongst our competitors. So that's, I think, explains a lot of the reason why the excitement around the edge of this programme has grown, and why people are looking at how we can gain on it. Because ultimately, unless you're a genuine giant, who dominates the scenery completely, all of us need to understand how we partner most effectively to share and develop technology so that we actually get the capability we need into our respective defence forces so that we can stay safe together.
And let me ask the last question, which is, give us a survey of the global market. There are concerns that markets are slowing down, whether on the commercial side of the equation or on the defense side of the piece. There are concerns, for example, about some traditional allies, Saudi Arabia and the UAE over Yemen, for example. Walk us through where both the market segments where you see the greatest opportunities for Britain, as well as the markets around the world where you think your performance is going to be strongest.
Well, thank you for that question. The first point I'd make is that whilst there are challenges out there are always challenges out there. One of the sadnesses of looking at those challenges is the more unstable the world is, the more secure the defence economy becomes around it. And so, ironically, as we look forward at, and view some of the instability that's around the place, I think that tells us that there's still a market in a lot of the defence sectors, because people need to invest in defence in an unstable world. As you look at the markets themselves from a British perspective, we're feeling confident as we look out at the global situation. We have a very, very sound set of relationships, and I'll just walk around the globe now. In the North American market, we've got long-term partnering agreements there. We've got a great sense of shared purpose. Our technology deals are absolutely at the cutting edge of stuff and providing a lot of dominating offers, and both into the US defence system and into the UK defence system. So that's a very productive market for us. Europe, we're seeing a very growing set of wins across Europe. People might find that ironic in the current situation, but actually what it shows is just how strong those defence relationships are that underpin our European allies and underpin the NATO system. So Northern Eastern Europe, a lot of good stuff going through at the moment. Central Southern Europe, a lot of projects up and running. So I'm excited about what's happening there. It's growing year on year, and we're looking forward to expanding that and sharing a lot of R&D as we go forward. And if we link it back to the FCAS piece, there's an interesting set of discussions there with all of our European allies. Look further afield, the traditional markets of the Middle East remain vibrant and strong. There's always controversy around some of it, but this controversy is stuff that we understand, it's managed, and these are long-term allies. They are our strategic partners, and nobody's going to walk away from that. As you look down across Southeast Asia, South Asia, we've got some really interesting markets opening up there. We've got some great market access across the piece, and we've got a unique offering into there that I think really matches the sort of operational challenges that the countries across that region face. And we're offering them the sort of partnering arrangements that make sense in an emerging market. For us, this is about win-win. The days are gone when large contracts could go in and just be one-sided. We've got to get into a position now where both sides feel that they've benefited economically, and in capability terms from the deal, and are sitting at the end of it with a politically stable supply chain, a view of the world that's shared, and a set of capabilities that can genuinely help you leverage your position. Look out further south to Australia. We've got a great partnership with the Australians. We've long had that. Type 26 typifies it, but there's a whole range of other areas where we're having exciting discussions about how we can work together in the future. And then cross the Pacific to great countries like Japan, Indonesia, run it across into the East Coast, into Canada, and drop down back into North America. And we've been around the world in 30 seconds. Didn't touch on Africa, but Africa, I think, is an exciting space. And particularly when you look at the amount of effort being expended there to try and stabilize some very difficult situations. So I think when you look from a security perspective, there's some very interesting proposals there. And we have very close relationships across the whole of Africa. And I'm particularly excited, particularly standing here in France, at some of the opportunities we're seeing in Francophone Africa, where security is opening up on a much broader basis and providing us a lot of market opportunities there.
Mark Goldsack, retired British Army Brigadier, the head of the Defence and Security Organisation, the organisation in Britain that oversees air, land, sea, cyber, space security, and all other exports. Sir, it was a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to seeing you in the UK soon at the Royal International Air Tattoo.
Looking forward to seeing you too. It's a pleasure talking to you. Cheers. Take care. Thank you.